Hello dear listeners, I apologize for being late with the August video. I managed to record this short video a little bit shorter than usually only now, and I hope that it will be useful as maybe others as well. So the new moon happened on the 8th of August in the sign of Leo, and full moon will be on the 22nd of August in the sign of Aquarius. Then the Sun is in Leo until the 22nd, after that is in Virgo. Mercury is in Leo until the 11th. Venus is until the 16th in Virgo, and after that is in Libra, which is quite a good thing. Mars is in Virgo all month, which is also quite a good aspect, transit. And big players, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto are still retrograde. Then from the 20th of August, Uranus, which has been direct until now, is turning retrograde. And Uranus is turning retrograde on the 20th degree. And I will talk especially here about Uranus in Taurus, also especially about this retrograde Uranus in Taurus. Let's mention a few important aspects. The month begins with the conjunction of the Sun and Mercury in Leo, which is a very nice aspect. They call it in Indian astrology Kazimi. It is the day when the Mercury gets solar characteristics. It's usually a very good day in the year, but we have it already behind us. Then we also had already the Sun squaring Uranus that happened the 6th day of August, which is kind of a power struggle. Then on the 11th of August, Venus will trine Pluto. And since Venus will be in Virgo and in his fall in a very weak position, then this is not that interesting, that trine. It can bring some challenges in the relationship, but it can still improve finances. At the 18th of August, Mercury is in conjunction with Mars on the 12th degree of Virgo. And Virgos will be very active, very creative, full of desire to do things and so on. Then on the 19th, Sun in Leo makes opposition to Jupiter, that is in Aquarius. And this aspect always leads into some sort of exaggeration of any kind. But if we even exaggerate, we do with this aspect mainly that in a positive sense. So it is time for great ambitions and big things to imagine, and many of positive things will really happen that day, especially for Leos and Aquarius people, but for others also. Then on the 20th, Mercury trines Uranus, and this trine happens in the Earth sign. And in this hour time, it is a very useful, very interesting aspect, because it talks about communication in a modern way, about the formation of public opinion, but also about revolutionary ideas that appear through medias, for example. So it is a great day to announce the revolution, and we talked in the July video about that we have two full moons in Aquarius this summer. One was in July, the other is in August. So this 20th of August is like the announcement of the revolution that can possibly come around the new moon, or maybe at the 22nd of July, the day of new moon. There are three important aspects that will happen at the end of August that I will mention here, that are also part of the horoscope for the full moon in Aquarius in August. One of those aspects is Mars is trining Uranus in Earth signs. This is the struggle for change and some overcoming limitation by using the strong will. It is particularly important aspect for politics and economics. So we can expect some changes in this area. Then on the August 23rd, Venus will be in Libra, trining Saturn in Aquarius. Also very good aspect. It brings stable partnerships, great success in diplomacy and also in trade. And in personal life, it brings good start of a long-term and stable relationship. Potentially, it's a very good day for wedding. And on the 26th, Mercury trines Pluto in the Earth sign. And this Mercury will possibly reveal the secrets of those who are engaged in public. This aspect can be very useful for the masses, for people. We can learn something about those ugly politicians of today. So all of those three aspects are actually present by the time of the full moon. So let's now systematize the meaning of all of those aspects at the day of the full moon in August. So first of all, moon represents the people in astrology. And in the July video, we said about those two moons in Aquarius, two full moons in Aquarius, which can bring some possibly social and political changes. Every full moon in August means some political and social engagement of large number of people. How large number depends on many other things. So here with this full moon is very important to find out what is happening with Uranus, because Uranus is the ruler of this full moon that is happening in Aquarius. So the ruler of full moon Uranus is for a long time already in the sign of Taurus, that we will speak here about, but in August, Uranus, it will be on the 20th of August, it will be stationary retrograde, and it turns retrograde during August. Actually, all August, Uranus will be on the 20th degree. So actually, all August is for Uranus like the position of this stationary retrograde, which means very, very confusing energy. So through August, Uranus will mainly be at the same degree, and in this position, it is least predictable, and otherwise it is unpredictable planet. We can expect, that's why, very, very stormy and very strange August to see. Uranus is the planet of sudden change, especially on the level of society, but it can also bring some changes and storms. We already see that everywhere in the world. I mean, real storms and tornadoes and these kind of things. This is also due to Uranus in Taurus sign. Now it can be stronger even in August. So Uranus will be retrograde from August 2021 until January 22. And in that time, we will very strong feel the transit of Uranus through the sign of Taurus. We will learn really a lot about positive and negative sides of this transit. Let me remind you that Jupiter and Saturn are in Aquarius in August. They're both retrograde. And their ruler, that's why, is also planet Uranus. So also those two planets that influence social and some mundane, on the mundane level, changes, they're also under the influence of Uranus. So we need to know what is exactly happening with Uranus. So Uranus is in Taurus from 2018 to 2026, and now it is in the second decade. Unfortunately, Uranus is in its fall in Taurus sign, so it can be potentially very, very dangerous. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was in the period from 1934 until 1942, and I guess you all know that it was the time of a Great Depression and great crisis in Europe, in economy and otherwise. Nazism appeared, and it gets stronger in those years. New weapons were constantly invented, and the economic system was in terrible crisis. I will not list in detail here what all happened in 1937 and 1938, when Uranus was also retrograde, as it is now. Just it was in that years retrograde at the 13th degree. Now it's in the 14th. It's a little difference there, but almost the same. So I will not talk in details. You can make the research and find out what was happening in the world in 1937 and 1938. And you will see that things will repeat in a way also in this our time. So in 21 at beginning of 22. So what we all know in those years was the rise of Nazism in Germany and fascism in other parts of the world. And we now have no doubts that we live in the time of neo-fascism and neo-Nazism. No matter how strong and how strange this can sound to some of you, this is really happening in the world. So this is the continuation of a certain political ideology that was militant, corporative, and globalistic in a way, as it is the politics of today, of those globalists who have their center in America, but they're actually everywhere. An important item of this ideology was social engineering, which is still more than present in the world. And of course, the representatives of this ideology developed the idea of eugenics that you most probably heard about. So I have to speak about eugenics now here. I wanted to avoid this, even if I mentioned this in some of my previous videos. But then, unfortunately, I have to speak about that because we cannot get around it. It's so present that we have to know about it. So what is eugenics? This is a certain social philosophy that deals with changing the genetic code of man and eliminates from society all people, nations, and races that are unclean, backward, unnecessary, superfluous, or whatever, and allows only those who are superior and who have good genes to survive. Whatever that mean exactly, I'm speaking generally. So we cannot go deep into this issue here now, in this video, but it is generally known that Nazi idea about Aryanism was the result of several factors, and one of the most important was that they discovered Sanskrit and Vedas in ancient India culture. They discovered that in 18th century, but that idea of Aryanism flourishes in the 19th century, and it was part of Romanticism and so on. And this Nazi Aryan ideology spread among Nazis was actually the idea that they were superior. Those Nazi people were more superior than others, and they understood themselves as those old Aryans, And how tragic, how ridiculous, and how wrong it was, I will not explain here. But if you study this subject, you will learn about that and you will gain more facts. However, it is important for us that it is repeated now. Social engineering is not the same as it was in the time of Nazism in the last century, although the ideology is very similar. How could it not be, one can say, when we know that now children and grandchildren of former eugenists continue their work and they present themselves as philanthropists. What is striking is that during the disease in question that we had experience with in the year 2020, I'm purposely not saying the name of that disease. So with this disease in question, many elderly people died first in nursing homes, in these homes for seniors. So first they died in many countries. What is also obvious here, that there is different projects for every nation or every country. It is slightly different what is happening everywhere. Somewhere they were testing more, somewhere they were testing less, and these kind of things. So it's a part of a program. And what is also obvious here, and what is the most important, is to know who is the target group of these neo-Nazis. And the target group are children. I'm very sorry to say that, but I have to say it, because we need to know what is happening and not to pretend that everything is fine. So the work of evil people who carry out the social engineering will reach its peak if they decide and they push through the policy of any country that this that's what they do with the needle. I'm purposely not saying what this is. If that become obligatory for children, then they will reach what they want to reach. And this is this eugenic on the top level. So the question is, can we find what we are talking about in astrology? Yes, of course we can find it. This is especially the symbolism of Uranus in Taurus. In my older videos about Uranus in Taurus, I talk more about the positive side of this transit. And if you want to find out more about it, check my YouTube videos. There are 3 different videos about Uranus in Taurus. But here I'm speaking about something a little bit different, and I speak more now about this negative side of the transit. Of course, every transit has positive and negative sides, and it's not only negative, but now this negative side of the Uranus in transit is very, very obvious. So let us return now to that symbolism of Uranus in Taurus. First of all, Taurus is the sign of flourishing and growth, a sign of biological life on Earth, very similar like Cancer sign, because the Taurus and Cancer are both ruled by the moon. Taurus represents the land that man cultivates to bear fruit and to keep himself alive, to eat. Taurus is also associated with agriculture and nurturing. Taurus is both partly ecology and economy, so everything that is connected with material values. There is also some inner land, not just this outside land that man cultivates. There is inner land, and we will maybe talk about that some other time, how to cultivate this inner land. And Uranus, on the other side, is completely different from Taurus, because Uranus is technologist. He's an innovator who cultivates the earth with modern technology. So modern technology and everything that man invented with his mind, also this virtual world, is very much Uranic. But this Uranus who cultivates the earth in a modern way can also destroy the earth by using modern technology. It can modernize economy, or it can destroy the economy by using or applying completely insane technocratic ideas. It can change the economic system for better, innovate it, but it can destroy it completely with virtual money and these kind of things. So I said, unfortunately, we are increasingly seeing the negative effects of Uranus in Taurus. And especially here, I mean, about the destruction and genetic modification of biological life. Earlier, they modified plants and food. Then they genetically modified animals. And now, a secret genetic modification of a man is underway. The destruction of nature and so-called climate change belongs to the same symbolism. So they are destroying the earth also by changing the climate and by inventing all of those storms and tornadoes and floods everywhere in the world. In the time of Nazism, the same idea was conducted under a different name. So in World War II, they deceived people by telling them to take them to labor camps to work a little bit. And now they're deceiving people by saying to them that they care about people's health. Fortunately, more and more people are protesting against the mandatory, this needle poo, and against new passports, as you most probably know. And it is really necessary to protest in this time. And of course, officials and official news did not tell you how many people were protesting in France at the end of July and in August, as well as in other European countries, especially European countries. Protests are very big. There were many fights with policemen. These protesters were very inventive, doing different things with politicians and their houses and so on. So possibly protests will be even bigger in August. But as in August we have this Uranus stationary retrograde, it is possible that politicians and those who rule will invent some sort of catastrophe to prevent or to stop protests organized by people. So both things are possible. Let us also mention here that the ruler of Uranus, who is now in Taurus, is Venus. And Venus has been in a strong position in Libra, or will be, pardon, in strong position in Libra since August 16. It will also have very good aspect to Saturn. So all this means that we have very good energy in this position to stand up in August and to continue with the fight that people started in July. And to stop this completely insane and mad ideology of globalists and other ideological lunatics, who are, of course, doing everything what they do through the governments. Our governments are actually implementing their ideology. If the protests do not have any visible results at the end of August and the beginning of September, then we will probably go into a new phase of limitation. People will stay without freedom again. What will be a real excuse for that, I don't know, whether it will be climate change or a new disease, but something like that will happen. And that second wave of restriction will have several phases. Most probably will happen, unfortunately, but let's wait and see what will that mean. We will talk about that in the months to come. So I know that all of those things that I said in August video can be too strong and difficult to understand for some of you, but unfortunately with Uranus retrograde in Taurus in the next five months, we will see potentially many dangerous projects directed against men. And we can stop them, of course. We are much stronger than we know. We need to know what is happening, and we should refuse to accept these crazy ideas that are conducted through our governments. It further draws our attention the fact that the full moon is at the 29th degree of Aquarius, while the sun will be at the 29th degree of Leo. So some astrologers wrote articles about that they found out that people from royal families are often born with the planets on the 29th degree of Leo. But look at this. Now, in August, the moon, which symbolizes people, is in the same degree. And what does the 29th degree of Aquarius means? Well, if we look for the meaning, we find that it symbolizes the scepter and the crown, which is actually the degree of the authority. 29th degree of Aquarius is the degree of authority. And the moon, symbol of people, takes over the authority and opposes the rulers. So the people have gained very big strength this month. And it is time for them to rise. That is the symbolism of this aspect. So everything what we need, we have in this position. And we have the opportunity to oppose to those who were ruling the world until now. We can implement new revolution. And maybe potentially during the year 2021 and 22, we need to go in the last revolution for many years to come if we understand the power that we have as a people. So let's wait and see what will happen. In this video, I will not talk especially about every sign of the zodiac separately, but you see we speak a lot about Virgos, who are quite lucky and active this month. Libras are also doing well with Venus in their sign in the second part of the month. Capricorn people are also quite lucky, have very good aspects. Aries people also, the same signs also have, all of them have some of the good aspects. Taurus people from the second decade will experience very, very big change during August. Leo are at the beginning of the new 6-month phase. And Aquarius people are very successful in July and August. They have really the time of their life. They made great things and they can enjoy them before they go into further changes. And that's all for now. If you want, you can schedule personal consultations with me. All of the readings that I offer are on my web pages. The name of my web pages is symbolicthinking.net. You will see that I offer consultancy based on astrological psychology, spiritual astrology, that I offer, I can say healing or consultancy based on Thetahealing, also Feng Shui consultancy, and that I also will see that I also record some of the analysis of horoscope. I record and I send audio recordings. Many of the links that I recommended, of the videos, you will find the links under this video on YouTube. And if you like the video, please forward it, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and thank you very, very much for that in advance. And until next time, I wish you all that the scepter and the crown are yours.